Ken Forrester, Executive Director at Momenta. Welcome to our Digital Thread podcast, produced by, for, and about digital industry leaders. In this series of conversations, we capture insights from the best and brightest minds in digital industry. They're executives, entrepreneurs, advisors, and other thought leaders. What they have in common is, like our team at Momenta, they are deep industry operators. We hope you find these podcasts informative, and as always, we welcome your comments and suggestions. Good day, and welcome to episode 235 of our Momenta Industrial Impact podcast. Today, I'm pleased to host Petr Jahn, CEO and co-founder of SprayVision, the first AI platform for industrial coating operations. Momenta just led the Series A round for SprayVision, our 56th portfolio company. Now, Peter's passion is applying his mechanical engineering and ingenuity and new business development expertise to create innovative solutions for the coating industry. With over 10 years of work experience, he has led and supported multiple projects in coating technologies, sales management, and applied mechanics, working with diverse and international teams and clients. He is particularly passionate about improving the quality, efficiency, and sustainability of coating processes and products, and empowering customers with data-driven insights and tools. Before founding SprayVision, Petr Jahn worked as general manager at Coating Technologies. He holds a master's degree in mechanical engineering from VSB, the Technology University of Ostrava. Peter, welcome to our Industrial Impact podcast.
Thank you for having me, Ken.
It certainly is a pleasure, and we are excited to officially announce that you're our newest portfolio company, so backed by our Fund 4, which is backed by Rockwell Automation. So quite excited to have you as a part of this. So, we always have kind of a defining question initially, and that really is about one's digital thread. So what would you consider to be your digital thread? In other words, the defining interests and experiences that brought you to this point in life?
Yeah, definitely. I will maybe take it a little wider because there is the story which is connected also with my education. I was always interested in technologies and business. And that was also the reason why I have chosen the technical university as a field of education. After second year on university, it was possible to apply for Erasmus, which is a student exchange program. And since my field was applied mechanics and completely same courses were taught also on the University of Oulu in Finland, it was definitely a clear choice for me to go there. A little maybe also why this was leading to me here to the point of the coating. Applied mechanics is about the structure analysis, but also about fluid flow, let's say, flow of the air and so on. And this is something what's also meeting in the coating technologies. During the studies there in Finland, I have met an Italian friend where we spent together almost 1 year on Erasmus. And after, I believe, 1 year when we were back, he contacted me again that he is possible to start distribute Italian technology for coating lines, mainly in automotive. And since I was always willing to combine the technical background and try to be entrepreneur, I said yes. And we have established together the local company in Czech Republic.
So one might say you were destined for SprayVision. I mean, when I look at your background, mechanical, coding, and really this deep focus that you've had on them, at least since university, what ideally attracted you to this coding space?
If I might say, I never liked easy paths and easy ways, actually. So I have chosen also on the university the most difficult field of study, which was on Faculty of Mechanical Engineering possible, and it was applied mechanics. And coating sector is kind of the same. It's quite a multi-physical process. When you apply paints, there is the fluid dynamics in, there's the paint as chemical component, which is a little unstable, and then the process of curing, etc. Above that, it's all happening in the explosive zone of coating cabin. And that's kind of the reason for which I like it. Our field is very complicated, very complex, but for me, it's the most attractive thing on it. Above that, it's paint shop also one of the most expensive operations in the company. And that's why we have unbelievable potential in optimizations of the costs and all possible, let's say, improvements.
I'd probably add onto that list, it also has environmental impact, especially as you become more efficient on it. You're obviously spraying less materials, right? And so all the way around, it's a good, I'll call it industrial impact, if you will, company. And thus part of the reason for our investment in you. So tell us, what would you consider to be the origin story of SprayVision? In other words, how did you guys create the company? And really, what's your key focus now?
Sure. I mentioned we have distributed the, let's say, Italian coating products and technologies due to the fact that technically it was supported from Italy. Sooner or later, we need to find also Czech Republic local technical team. And by luck, I was meeting my current co-founder, Wojciech Rowe, which was that time working in the coating line company, coating line producer company in their development center. So he was focused on the setting up of the processes, robot applications, and so on. And after a couple of projects, so we have decided that Wojciech will join our distribution business. Then we were working together for a couple of years doing projects around Europe. And during these projects, we have seen all negative aspects of the current processes in the coating. There was a very long time waiting for the results from thickness measurement. No objectivity, since everyone had own opinion, but no data existed. And many other, let's say, problems or challenges which was industry facing. And this was the moment of the idea where was born the SprayVision. We have started by small steps actually to understanding if the measurement based on the transmission of the light could work, if all physics fits actually, if it's technologically possible, and so on. And on the end of this, let's say, observing or exploring, we find out that all aspects are possible to solve somehow. And we have started to work on the first prototype of the technology and software. Once we confirmed it actually and start to introduce it to the market, we have chosen as the very good step to introduce the technology on the Paint Expo in Germany, which is one of the biggest coating trade fair in the Europe, to understand also customer feedback. And due to very good reactions and fact that we got almost 40 contacts from the nice global companies, we have started to work very intensively on our first, let's say, production version of the hardware and software. From that moment, it took us almost 1 year actually to start deliver the first customers. But luckily, our first contacts were very patient and were helping us also to design and develop functions which for them were missing to be even more useful. And on the end of 2019, beginning of 2022, we have delivered first production or products which were ready for implementation to customer places, including the software.
Now, you've won already several awards for your work. Can you tell us a little bit about this recognition?
Definitely, especially on the beginning, was very important to, let's say, also for team motivation and even confirmation that what we do, it's making sense to apply for, say, technical competitions. And we started in 2020 when we applied to Vodafone Idea of the Year in Czech Republic. And from probably more than the projects we have won. Also, it was very nice and very motivated, let's say, especially for the team to go on and continue on this path. I will just maybe mention that that year was quite challenging since we had product ready. We were planning to make the global campaign, start introduce it to the market, apply for the all trade fairs. And that was the year where the COVID started fully in Europe. So everything was canceled and we were mostly doing some local projects and focusing mostly on the development activities for the technology. But from the, let's say, business development and so on was very complicated. So these even things of this character are very important in that period of the time to confirm that what we do makes sense. Another little, let's say, more interesting award, which we won in 2022, was international startup competition called Paint the Future. And it was organized by AkzoNobel, which is one of the leading producer of the paints. There were applying like 260 startups from all over the world. And on the end of the program, there was the final round actually happening in Amsterdam, and we were chosen as one of the three winners actually. So there was not place 1 to 3, but they choose three winners, and SprayVision was one of them, and it was very nice moment, very nice competition, and again kind of confirmation that what we do makes sense, and it's also bringing kind of disruption and innovation to the market. So those were most interesting. Actually, there's a couple of local more, but those were the one which I think that are the interesting to mention.
Excellent. I like the name Paint the Future. That's a great title. In fact, I think I'm going to rename the podcast that for this episode, because that really is very fitting. So let's change gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your commercial wins. How have you helped your clients and customers?
Definitely. Like, we were lucky to start cooperate with a couple of global companies. And again, little as it is on the beginning needed, by luck, they had centralized decision process and centralized purchase, which on the beginning was very welcome because it secured us our growth and scaling through their, let's say, global presence. I will not name one, but there was a couple of customers like this, mostly from the bumper production sector, but was very important on the beginning that one of our first clients were also producers of the coating equipment and paint producers. So with those all, we were able to assess for two fantastic, let's say, group of the customers, which were especially in the beginning also helping us to finalize the functions and improve the functions in the technology. But nevertheless, they were able to support us with their orders. And that was also start of the scaling of our presence and growing of our business. So without them, will be SprayVision probably not there where it's now. So big thank to all of them actually.
So how do your clients find and engage you?
I know that you like Switzerland, Ken, so I will use the explanation from my co-founder, Wojciech, which is often saying that SprayVision is like Swiss Army knife, actually. So we are multifunctional solution that customers can use for daily based tasks as the process control, which is leading to decreasing of the scrap, measuring the thickness, even in wet stage, so they don't need to wait hours to know the information what is happening in the process. They are able to analyze the quality of the paint, solve kind of daily problems on the coating line, and so on. But above that, they can also use our products for long-term targets as paint consumption reduction, and due to this fact, also more sustainable process with less emissions and like emissions of VOC, but also CO2 and much more tasks. With our newest product, which we call the spray brush, and it's based on neural networks, they are able to set up the parameters based on the data, but also stimulate the coating distribution, which is almost one-to-one correlating with reality. And it's something what was not existing on the market. The setup of the process was very linked always with the kind of the expert or someone who has the long-term experience in the coating. However, with our product, it's possible to optimize processes and understand them even for the people which are maybe just graduating university, but they are having an analytical way of the thinking and some technical background, and they are able to do fantastic things, which are leading to unbelievable pain decreasing, as I mentioned, and other, let's say, facts which we are able to bring to the industry.
How do you know when an organization is really ready to adopt your SprayVision solution? And I guess what best practices have you seen in those organizations realizing the value of SprayVision?
Actually, our basic condition to implement the technology or conditions, there's a couple of them, are quite simple. We need to see that they are having the robotic line. Even we are also having a couple of manual applications, but still most of them is robotic. We need to see that customer spend a minimum 1 million euro for paints per year. This is to achieve the payback period under 1 year. And the customer is also focusing on looking for quality of their products. So those three parameters, kind of the basic fact to be able to install them the SprayVision. and deliver them the great value for their operations with also proper economy for them.
Now, Momenta's been investing in industrial optimization for almost, well, a little over a decade at this point. And certainly we've seen a lot of recent uptick in anything related to AI, reinforcement learning, machine learning, et cetera, but especially as applied to industrial applications. I'm curious, what are you seeing as the key motivators for your clients now, considering your solution in the coding space?
There is a couple of drivers which we see in our sector. One of the from the latest, I believe that it was first deeply discussed on the conference like 4 years ago at sustainability and VOC and CO2 emissions, which is something what really a lot of our customers is solving and try to be much better in this fact. We see also that there is not enough experts in our field because to be good in the coding and setting up the process, people were needed probably 10 years of the experience because it was always little black box. Also for the reasons which I mentioned that it's quite multiphasic, there is chemistry inside and much more. So to this experts lack on the market, it's something what we see also. There is the big pressure on the costs. So they need to be optimized. They need to be improved. That's something what definitely is the driver as well. And probably it's the constant driver. And also the quality of the products, which it's something what increased in last years. And currently you cannot have even one single drop of the dust in the paint, nothing what might be, let's say, recognized as the defect for the customer. So those four things are probably the something what is pushing the industrialization and optimization on the edges in our sector.
Yeah, very good. It's certainly optimization has a very wide term in this sense, but you guys are probably one of the few truly operating or applying this into the coding spaces you've done, and thus, why we were so interested in investing in you guys. Now, this is one of our first investments in the Czech Republic. So I'm curious, how do you find the startup ecosystem? How supportive do you find all of your government and everything, the ecosystem that develops out the startups there?
I believe that the ecosystem itself, it's already in the good shape since we have quite many successful exits. We have a couple of unicorns, and in last years improved also much more the quality of the venture capital companies because definitely there were some bad experience in the past with setting of the relation between venture capital and startups and so on. But this is probably now forgotten, and the companies which are now having the venture capital money in Czech Republic are mostly in the very good hands, and they are facing the partners which are ready to help and above the money also provide the good mentoring and advices. So this overall, I believe that it's growing. We see that also number of the startups and companies generally established is growing. We still little miss some big, let's say, exits, which hopefully will arrive from one of these currently evaluated unicorns and might completely kick much more the current ecosystem and also improve the image of the Czech Republic in the world. So that's something what we are a little waiting for still. But when you touch the government, this is something what we have still little trouble with because for you will be unbelievable, Ken, but we are still waiting for the legislation for ESOP. It should arrive this summer. It should be approved this summer, but still we don't have a clear legislation based ESOP plans, and we need to create it by some, let's say, virtual agreements and so on. And lawyers need to figure out always how to do it. So it's something what we are missing. But above that, I believe that we are, as the Czech Republic, fulfilling the European standards already in the rest of the things. And Czech founders are very well technically educated. What we will need a little more probably is the skill to sell better us, but also our products. That's something what we definitely might improve.
I think it's one of the things why you guys stood out for us. I often joke that many of our European founders kind of show their TAM, SAM, SOM chart as in, my locale region, which is sometimes defined by the language, the regions around it that speak the local language, Europe, and then there's rest of world, which is many times including the US, right? You were one of the
Yeah.
few who we saw already identified the US as a core market where you're going to go after, and certainly European wide. So I certainly wouldn't accuse you of thinking too local, as in just the Czech Republic. And so that's what we certainly like about your ambition, and hope we see that in other founders in the country when we invest. So finally, as we wrap up, I always like to ask how you maintain your edge as a leader. Any recommendations you'd like to highlight for the audience?
Definitely, I will be happy to share. I should probably read a little more books, but it's something what I'm not good in. But definitely, I was reading a very nice one as the hard thing about hard things from Ben Horowitz, for example, for personal and time improvement, like Atomic Habits. Currently, since we agreed actually on our investment, I am reading the Talent War because we will need to focus on the hiring of the new talents and growing of our organization. So that's something what for sure and definitely will be focused in very near future. And from the, for example, podcast, I am listening some, let's say, a US one, as for example, Lex Friedman, which is often interviewing very interesting people as Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman, Elon, and so on. So that's something where definitely take inspiration as well. You have, let's say, great leadership experts, Simon Sinek and so on. So this is always fantastic inspiration, but to also align it all with the local, let's say, specifics, I listen also Czech podcast and following the founders of the current unicorns, how they are also able to build such a companies from Czech Republic and what were the steps and so on. So this mixture, let's say, is giving me kind of the possibility to hopefully stay as a good leader in our organization.
Very good. I just re-listened to The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And this time I did it as an audiobook while I was on a long drive. And wow, all I can say is it is a great book. For as long as it's been out, it is still so timely. And so, yeah, I would definitely recommend that to our listening audience. So, Peter, thank you for spending this time and sharing these insights with us today.
Thank you too, Ken. It was very nice to be here.
And it was great to have you as well. So this has been Petr Jahn, CEO and co-founder of SprayVision. Thank you for listening, and please join us for the next episode of our Industrial Impact podcast. We wish you an impactful day. You've been listening to the Momenta Digital Thread podcast series. We hope you've enjoyed the discussion, and as always, we welcome your comments and suggestions. Please check our website at momenta.one for archived versions of podcasts, as well as resources to help with your digital industry journey. Thank you for listening.